watch me, won't you tell a friend? Y'all gon' see this what God's like.
Oh, what's happening, man? Y'all already know what it is. It's Twice Talk, and we are listener supported by 91.5, The Rebel, HD2, Las Vegas, the broadcast service of UNLV. And of course, I'm always accompanied by the fantastic Oak. How you doing today?
Oh, she right on in.
Right on in for the win, and we getting it in again. Indeed.
With Ashley Tillman.
Oh, yeah.
Bars.
If you guys did notice, we do have Miss Ashley Tillman in the building today. How are you doing today?
Ashley Q Tillman.
Q Tillman. What's the Q stand for?
I'm
Cutie?
not going to tell you what it stands for.
Oh, it's important.
But my initials are AQT, so if you know me, you know the middle name. I can't put it out there.
And why don't you
it's a
just
secret?
let everybody know who you are?
No, because this is like an ongoing joke in my circle, and they don't know what it is, so I can't put it out there.
Oh, you have to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Okay.
we're going to get it up out
Right.
today. So, if you, Ashley is a realtor in the Las Vegas community.
Yes.
She is an author. We're going to get into that. We got to find out what other kind of talents you have.
Oh, okay.
So we have to know about the realtor side of Las Vegas or the industry first. So what are the benefits of having a realtor, would you say?
I would say the benefits of having a realtor is having someone who knows the market, because it's very important. A lot of people jump into real estate and they're not really aware of the benefits of owning property. So having like a professional that is going to lay it out for you, the process of owning a home, why you should own a home in its entirety, that's probably the best benefit that you're going to get with a realtor.
Scoot up a little bit. So you
That's
closer
the
to
knob
mic.
right
Okay, anyway.
So what are some important tips on home buying? Would you say?
Are you talking about the process itself? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the process? Because I don't have a home.
We never bought a house, so we don't know.
Okay.
We
Why you trying to
what's
hate
the
on me?
right questions to ask?
Well, I would say the first
Don't
step,
tell me what I got.
what I tell my clients or anyone that comes to me for consultation is you kind of got to know where you stand financially, because unless you have cash to buy a house outright, and I think the average price, I know the average price of a home right now in Las Vegas is $350,000. So unless you got 350,000 racks cash,
Money.
which people do. I'm not hating on you if you do. I mean, you kind of have to be financially ready. So that's the first step. You want to make sure that you're where you need to be credit-wise. So I tell people to shoot for a 640 credit score, because that right there is going to put you in line to qualify for down payment assistance.
Well, see, I didn't know that. I feel like every time someone's like, "Oh, get your credit score up like you said 650."
I said 640.
640. Now that's deemed pretty low.
Technically, because credit scores range from, you can have as low as a 400 all the way up to...
And still get a house.
No,
I got hope.
I didn't say...
Yeah.
I'm telling you the ranges of the credit score. So you can have it as down in the dirt is 400 all the way up to like 850.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think 900 is the highest, but a lot of people think they got to have this astronomical credit score to get a house.
Exactly.
You don't. Little secret, the minimum credit score to get a house, FHA, is 580.
Wow.
Now, I wouldn't suggest
Say that again?
580. I wouldn't suggest you to go try to get a house with that score, because, of course, you're going to have high interest rates. High interest rates obviously drive your payment. A lot of people don't know that. And then it makes it a lot harder. You're going to have to come in with a lot more money down. So you don't get the benefits of kind of having that average credit score of 640. Because technically they'll tell you when you hit the 700 price range, when you hit the 700 area, then you're like smooth sailing. Like your credit is good or whatnot. But 640 to me is where I'll actually, I don't want to say not take you serious, but I'll put you in line and say, okay, we can start working towards getting a house.
So if any of your clients ever come to you with a relatively lower credit score, do you ever give them suggestions on how to raise the credit score? What are those suggestions?
So for me, the first thing I do is I send them to the lender. So if the lender comes back and they have less than a 640, my first suggestion obviously is to find out exactly what your credit score is. So say you come to me and you have a 580, right? You can't get a house, but I'm the type of realtor ain't gonna let you get a house at 580.
Because of the interest rate?
Because of the interest rate and kind of like what you're going to be faced up against as far as obstacles.
So you're gonna push me away if
I'm not gonna push you away. We're gonna put you on what I call an action plan. Action plan is, okay, we see where your credit score is. I want to find out why your credit score is at 580, because there's reasons. And like you're saying, what would I tell them to do?
I'm not telling you. Just like you don't want to give me the cue.
Everybody knows why your credit is that way. I mean,
Everybody
if you're not
knows.
paying bills, because when it comes
you're not
to
building, or maybe
Correct.
you're not building credit.
You're not building credit. So my first thing is to find out where you are. So let's say you got a 580. Okay, we pull your credit score, and there's 3 credit bureaus. So you have TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. A lot to me, what I've seen, a lot of people
saying Equifax these days.
What's wrong with that?
The breach. There was a credit breach.
What? They can come find you?
Well, it was like
somebody can hack you.
They were hacked.
Something like that. Yeah.
They were hacked. Yeah.
Oh, and somebody got all their information.
Not all of it, but quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Oh, see.
But
that's crazy.
I heard they have it under control, and
don't believe the hype.
I believe it.
It's a lot of like stuff around the Equifax leak, but we're not going to get into that right now.
So, those are the 3 bureaus. So TransUnion to me is what I see a lot of people, companies reporting to.
Okay.
So I would say get your credit, all 3 credit bureaus. AnnualCreditReport.com allows you to pull all 3 of your credit reports annually for free. Now you can pull them all 3 at once, but what I suggest is pulling them throughout the year. So maybe in January, because we're getting tax money, start with a TransUnion credit report, because
I don't get my tax money till April.
Well, some people are thinking that way though. You're already thinking that way. So start with that report, kind of look and see first if there's any inaccuracies, because that right there could drive your low credit score too. Somebody could be reporting as tip and not twice. You see what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that's correct. And then you want to dispute anything that's not correct. So if it's not right, an address, a credit file, say you got a express credit card, but it's not yours. So you dispute those. Disputes, for me, that I've seen with clients that I help with their credit, once dispute files come back and they're removed from your file, credit score jumps anywhere from 20 to 30 points.
So you also fix credit?
Unofficially. I do. And I'm going to explain that. When you tell people that you fix or you work on credit, then you get, inboxed in droves.
Right.
I don't have time to do it, but I can offer tips in how to do it. I do have clients that I work with exclusively to help their credit, but that's simply because, I know them. I mean, I can feel like I'll be the plug for them, but I don't want to open up and say, I fix or restore credit, because I don't.
Okay, so what about this? We know that the sports teams are coming out here and that the market for the houses are starting to increase drastically. What kind of things could we expect for the next couple of years pertaining to the housing industry?
Well, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I can say that already.
100% increase?
Not 100% increase. You're okay.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Since they have announced that the Raiders are
trying to get my piggy
here,
bank right.
Home prices have soared. So I'm talking about a 27% increase just over 2016, beginning of January up until now, and then
27%.
27%.
Oh wow!
So for instance, Las Vegas, like I said, the average home is 350. 350 this time last year or beginning of January. I mean, you were talking about getting a house at 275.
Oh, wow.
And in North Las Vegas right now is kind of the best area to get the most money.
You're taking my questions right out of my face.
The most house for what you qualify for.
Okay.
So right now the median price over there is $250, but we're talking about over 2,000 square feet. So quite naturally, if you want to live like a king, North Las Vegas is where it's at. Versus the higher price real estate where you have Summerlin and Henderson actually really holds its value as well too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Henderson is
why do you think
the best place?
Why do you think North Las Vegas is why do you think that price is where it is?
I think because it's still developing. It's still, and I term it as the new North. Because you have North Las Vegas.
It is the new North.
It's
for sure. If
new.
you're from Vegas,
right.
It's the new
It's
North.
the new North.
So are we going to all just keep it a bunny right now? Is it because that's where all the gangbangers are moving to?
I mean, we know why.
That's where all the bangers move.
I just need to know.
The PG realtor answer.
Well, y'all hold on to those thoughts. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come right back.
Yeah.
Really diamond, and I'm shining bright 'cause I'm really grinding. They ask me if I'm real. I say, yeah, you see. My daughter gon' love this chip.
The Rebel is KUNV HD2 Las Vegas. Vegas.
You acting like you can help or something.
I know you can. That's what I'm like.
Yeah.
We are back.
Yeah. So the game bangers are in the North Town.
I didn't say that.
So that's why they get the
Don't
lowest.
quote me.
She didn't say that.
But you know where they at. I know you.
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
She said crime is relative.
Crime and gangbangers are
no.
correlate.
Not gangbangers.
Oh, they don't? Oh.
Crime is relative.
Oh, okay.
So when I say that, I mean people will shy away from certain areas of the market for instance, like East Las Vegas. They're like, I don't anywhere but East
So
Las
who
Vegas.
places the value on a home? Is it how many people want to move there, or is it?
It depends on what the house sells for. So,
Right.
you know, and that right there comes from perspective. So you have, you know, maybe a certain group of people that feel like Summerlin is lit over there. That's where they want to be. So they'll pay $300,000 for a condo in Summerlin. But
okay.
I mean, going to the east side where you have to travel past maybe a trailer park, or you know, you run into 3 or 4 ambulances on your way there. They're like, okay, I don't want to be over here.
Yeah.
So I'm only going to pay $150 for a condo over here. So that's really what drives price.
So
Okay.
buyers drive price.
So opposed to, besides location, what is the one thing that would increase the value of your home more than anything else?
Well, to me, I think it's just the upkeep of the neighborhood.
Oh, the whole neighborhood itself.
Yeah, making sure that, you know, your neighborhood's presentable and people making it desirable to want to live there. You know what I mean? So when you go to certain neighborhoods, and I mean, you can probably feel me, like if you turn into the
For sure.
neighborhood and it's like
beautiful.
trash everywhere, or people,
trashy.
there's no pride of home ownership, then I think that right there kind of creates the value to go down. Obviously, the type of people that are there. I mean, some people, if you are familiar with HOAs, you can't park a million
HOAs.
cars on the street, or you can't have your garage door, you know, open during certain parts of the day. You can't put your trash out the day before trash runs. So a lot of that kind of, I believe, drives how well the neighborhood is maintained and those types of things. So I definitely feel like pride of home ownership would bring value to the
Pride of
property.
home ownership.
Do you like
That's
the
a good thing.
HOA? Do you disagree with that organization? Do you think that it does some help, or do you think that it does harm? Like,
I have a love-hate relationship for HOA.
Okay.
Where I live right
The
now.
love hate. What?
A love-hate.
So you love them. What do you love about?
I love the fact that it keeps the neighborhood up. So when you come into your neighborhood, you know what you're going to see and what you're not going to see. And sometimes you kind of go on the side of the HOA because you're like, ooh, I know he don't got
neighborhoods-
his trash out. I'm telling somebody, you know what I mean?
yeah, but they're
if-
just being petty because they can't have their trash out.
Right. But sometimes it
That's
can be a
super
nuisance
petty.
because right now, you know, we're dealing with a parking issue. Like, we live in a
terrible.
home and we can't park in front of the house. So everybody has to be in the driveway. So, I mean, like, if I have to go to work, like my boyfriend right now, he works graveyard. So I have to get out, pull my car in, and then he has to come home, make sure his car's pulled out. So I don't like things like that.
Or what about family get-togethers?
That too. They usually don't really mind with that. But for me, it's just little things like that, like telling me what I can put in my backyard, having to get the neighbor's permission to put a pool in, those types of things. I'm like, if I just bought a house, I shouldn't have to ask anybody, you know, permission to do anything or to even park in front of my house. But they do have, I think, an important role in making sure that the neighborhood stays up to par and that, you know, it's a desirable place to live.
Has Oak ever told you how the HOA started?
No.
Oh, the history of the HOA, and it's a lot of
I should know.
institutions
Yes.
in America. They started off of racism and
Ooh.
segregation.
Okay, that changes
Yeah.
that changes things
Changes
a little
everything.
bit.
Changes everything.
Yeah. This organization, I just want to use one city in specific, which
Okay.
was in Detroit. It was a small area called I think it's called Red, but it was Black Bottom. That's what it was called. So blacks were confined to live in this neighborhood. And then once they wanted to move out into white neighborhoods where it was more safe, less crime, less poverty, these HOA organizations started to rise up and basically kill black people that moved to their neighborhoods
Yeah.
and drive them out. So that's just the history
And
of it.
stonewalling too. I've read about that too, where they wouldn't let them move in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
for
They
sure.
would-
That's crazy.
And they would also say that if they did move in, they brought the property value down. So I've read stuff
Right.
about
So,
that.
so how does Vegas compare to other real estate markets and like other cities?
Well, right now I would say we're one of the fastest growing.
Okay.
So right now we're one of the fastest next to California, because the average home
California
in
still growing?
The average,
California is
the
Never
average
mind.
house in California right now, and we're talking about the size of this studio and maybe a bathroom.
Yeah.
507,000. So-
Wait, 500K?
Yeah.
For-
So a lot of people are wondering, like, how are people coming? Because as a realtor, and I've been doing it for about 4 years, the cash price that you would see that you get bought out of as far as offering, because like I put in offers for my clients, and if they're kind of like lower range, like 180, you're expecting a cash offer. But I'm getting hit with, been bought out by cash buyers at $260,000. That's a lot of money to put down on a house for a single family residence. You know,
Yes.
if you're not an investor. If you're talking about moving into a house, most people don't pay cash. But what it is California buyers know that the Raiders are coming, that there's going to be a high stake in the real estate market.
So they
So it's really competitive.
Yeah, they're selling their houses for $500,000, coming over here buying $260 and still got money left in the bank, and all they have is property taxes.
Ouch.
Yeah. So it kind of, again, it's a love-hate, because it's like you want the market to grow, and of course you want to secure those type of buyers, but it's like I do have my buyers that live in Vegas. This is home, and they're being, kind of bought out by these cash buyers. So it's not investors. It's really people that are actually trying to live here.
That's a way to get a
So
dollar.
how realistic is it? Because I've never gone through the process of buying a house. For like friends, let's say we want to keep up with this.
Okay.
So let's say me, Twice, Slim, and Perk was like, well, shoot, let's go in on a house together. How realistic is it for us to come together? Like, how do you weigh that? Do you look at everyone's credit scores? Does everyone's credit scores?
Great question.
Well, it depends on how you want to go into it. Like, technically, if everybody wanted to be on the house and they wanted to hold, kind of equal ownership, like you're going in as joint tenants, then we will look at everybody's credit. I think one of the biggest myths out there is that if you go on a house together whether it's friends or husband and wife, that we're going to use the strongest credit and only use this person's income, but it's kind of done as a whole. So if you're, for instance, if his credit is terrible, we're going to be like, okay, he don't need to go.
So
on
why
the
you
house.
got that perception?
I'm just saying.
I think you're just trying to throw some shade.
So we're obviously going to, and I'm not.
So if his credit score is low and ours is decent, let's say Slim's is 714.
Okay.
At what point do you say, even because his credit score is low, he makes $120,000 a year?
But we can't really use his income because credit scores was driving the rate and the approval.
So credit score drives the rate and approval of a lender.
For lenders, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not a licensed mortgage professional, but I can kind of say that a lot of people feel like, and this is why, because people ask me, well, how come some people have all this money and they don't own homes? Because you need the credit score. So like I kind of was saying on that post, like, cash is only king if you have a lot of it. Because
if you can just outright buy it.
If you can outright buy it. But if not, you're going to need that decent credit score to secure the loan.
What if you only got like half of the cash? Would that still kind of push you ahead of anybody else?
It kind of goes into kind of like that hard money lending. That's what it's called. So when you have those 580s or those 600s, there are people that will lend to you. And if you have like half of the 200,000, like you have 100,000, you probably could get approved, but you're going to go through lenders, and I'm telling you, you're going to jump through so many hoops as far as verifying where the money came from. Why do you have the money?
Okay.
Because
they're going to ask where it came from.
So it's a longer process.
Very. And it's extraneous because they're going to verify everything. A lot of people ask me about the housing market crash versus how the market is now, because I'm pretty sure you guys heard this bubble. Vegas is going through this bubble again. The difference between then and now is people that are purchasing these houses for $300,000 and $400,000 or $500,000 can actually afford them. Back then, people couldn't afford them because if you came to me and I was a lender and you said I make $50,000, all you had to do was say I make $50,000 because it was something called stated. Like you state your income and then we qualify you off of that.
Why we can't
so
just
how
have
did that
that
change?
system?
Do you know how that changed?
Well, it changed because of
we was
the
broke.
crash.
Because of the economy. Okay.
The economy tanked, and then that's what called for the regulation of lending, with Bush and all of that.
Oh,
so that came in, and when all the banks had to be bailed out, we're like, okay, what's happening here? That's what's happening, because people are getting these loans and they don't really qualify for them. Things like ARMs, where we'll start you off with an $800 payment because you're telling me that in 2 years I'm going to be making $80,000. And when that payment goes from $800 to $1,800, you can't really afford $1,800. Right. But I lend to you on the strength that you told me.
No, that was the banks that said, okay.
And then, of course, there were tons of other, credit brokers. Because you can go, I think a lot of people think you have to go to a bank to get a loan. You don't have to go to a bank to get a loan. There's other mortgage companies that will provide, that work like brokers, you know what I mean, that kind of take your financial snapshot, send it out to many other financial institutions, and then they say, okay, yes, I'll loan to, you. Whereas banks are a little bit more strict. They're like, nope, you got to be clean, you got to have this, and we ain't loaning unless you do.
Well, they shouldn't try to go to Poly to get a loan either, because he might not be as lenient as the banks.
Poly. I'm lost.
I'm a little lost too.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. So what's your perfect client? Like, what's like, oh my gosh, this is an easy sell, and like, what's like a client that you're like, this is going to be tough. I just really want to just pass him or her off to another realtor. Like, what's like the ideal candidate to buy a house?
For me, as a realtor, looking at it with those realtor eyes, ideal candidate, and a lot of people think it's because it's credit or anything like that, because I can help with fixing the credit and I have lenders.
Mm-hmm.
The ideal candidate for me is someone who is open-minded, because I think when people go into buying a house, they want everything to be there.
So open-minded, you have to be open.
You have to be open-minded because you're not going to get everything you want in a house.
No?
So, no, you're not. I mean, unless you're ready to...
That's
just
have some
wild.
check.
Unless you have money.
Are you building it from the ground
Yeah,
up?
scoot in a little bit.
Sorry. Unless you're building it from the ground up, you're not going to get everything you want, in your first house. So ideal candidate for me is someone who's open-minded. They understand kind of like how the process works, and they're ready to get out there and actually buy a house. Because some people like the idea of buying a house, but when it comes down to actually going into contract, doing the work, getting the stuff that everybody needs to make the transaction go smoothly, they're not ready.
Not only that, they have to accept the kind of house that they can afford.
Right.
I like that you said it's open. That,
Listen.
You have to be open-minded.
You do.
And are you open-minded?
I kind of feel like I'm open-minded.
A little bit? A lot of bit?
I'm a tourist, so I'm a little bullheaded sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
I can't hear anything.
But if you, to me, I feel like if you have a good argument and you kind of can sway me a little bit, I can be open-minded. If you have a good argument. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. Oh, when you are a realtor, and you are open-minded,
Right.
one of the most important qualities of being a realtor is communication.
Correct.
So, how do you feel your level of communication skills are? Do you feel like you communicate well? Do you, matter of fact, how about this? How do you deliver bad news?
Oh my God, I hate delivering bad news. So on the realtor side, bad news could be that you didn't get approved for the house. Usually lenders deliver that, but sometimes they reach out to me first to kind of like smooth it over. I think bad news is also that they didn't get the house, because they don't always get a house when I put an offer in. So for me, I've learned over the years to just do it right away. Like, don't wait. Let them know, and then
Just rip the Band-Aid off, scab
You have
everything,
to,
blood
because,
going every gushing.
you have clients that are really on edge. So from the moment you put the offer in, they're texting and they want to know. So for me,
They're
delivering,
on the edge. They're like, did it go through? Did it
Yeah,
go through? Did
like,
you hear anything?
How long does it usually take to go through?
It
Few days?
depends. You have realtors, because the way I look at real estate transactions with other realtors, it's like a group project, and I'm pretty sure everybody's had to work
Done
with
those.
groups. So there's so many components to it, and I'm not gonna say I hate working with realtors that don't communicate well. So it's like, if I put an offer in right now, technically you should respond. One, you should tell me you got it. That's just email etiquette. Like, receive
Got your
something,
email, I'll
you know what I
respond
mean?
once I go
Hey.
through it.
Right.
But then it could be anywhere from 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
What we're experiencing.
That's not a bad turnover.
No, but if you're buying a house and I just put the offer in, 5 minutes could seem like 50 minutes to you. Like, what happened? Did they
Especially
say?
if you love the house.
Yeah.
And other people are competing to
So
buy it.
that's kind of, to me, important. Like, email etiquette, making sure that you communicate and tell me that you received the offer. But turnaround is usually 24 to 48 hours. It could go longer if it's a multiple offer situation.
It sounds like they put it on a lot of pressure.
Oh, the realtor?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on you.
Oh, absolutely. As a realtor,
How you deal with pressure?
Who does? The client?
the client.
The client, yes.
Okay.
Your
Yeah.
client will put pressure on you. How do you
for
deal
me,
with pressure?
What I've
Off
come,
the clock.
Off the clock. Okay. I've come to the point where I don't take anything personally, and I know that it's my job. I don't, and it's hard. It really is.
What does realtors take? What do they take personally in those transactions?
Well, for realtors, it's almost like you are the head hunter. You're the person that knows all the information. Like, when we go through a real estate transaction, you have a lender. So if you want to know what your payment is, you're supposed to reach out to your lender.
Right.
There's an inspector. So if the inspection didn't come back, you're supposed to reach out to the inspector. I'm not a licensed inspector. So with clients, which I have...
So the client is supposed to do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they have these contacts, you know what I mean? I can't quote you a payment. I don't feel comfortable doing it, should I say, because I'm not licensed mortgage professional. So if the client wants to know what my payment will be if the house goes from $250, like say they want to offer more, to $260, I'm going to tell you, make sure you reach out to the lender. Now what I'll do is, as a courtesy, because I love my clients and I'm just that good of a realtor, I'm a service-based realtor, I do it. And a lot of times people tell me I go above and beyond, but that's kind of how I'm, wired. I started my work career in hospitality.
Yeah.
So MGM Resorts, they
It's like
bang it into you.
Yeah, it's customer
So
first, client first.
And-
You can't help it. So as a service-based realtor, and I coined myself that way, my clients know that they can expect that from me. But how I handle pressure is making sure that I cut things off. So when I first started, I was 24/7. You call me at 9, I'm going to respond at 9. I mean, if it's 12 o'clock and you want to know about a house, if I'm up, I'm going to respond. I had to really condense my hours, you know, because from 7 p.m. from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Yes, those are my hours, and I try to stay really, really, really close to that, because the one moment you respond to an email at 10 o'clock, they'll do it again, and they'll do it again. So for me, like I said, making sure that they understand my boundaries keeps a lot of pressure off me. Like, I'll do my best to service my client, but I'm not going to break myself, you know what I mean, to make sure that things are going to,
That's good. So outside of work, and I'm pretty sure there's probably a lot of men in Vegas that are wondering this, where do they find women like you hanging out?
I mean, I don't know.
The library.
The library. Look, not the strip club.
At church?
The library.
not the gentleman's club.
Not the gentleman's
That's
club.
the one I was talking about. Oh, no.
But I feel like it just depends. You go where you want to meet the type of person. I feel, to me, that's how you feel. So if I want to meet a man that I know has his stuff together, I'm probably going to go to an Urban League meeting, because I know that they're probably got their stuff together. You know what I mean? Or if I want a spiritual man, I'm probably going to go to church. So I think if you're looking
Where are they going to find women like you?
Like you.
You.
Well, those are the type of events that I frequent. So I go to Urban League meetings, you know what I mean? I do go to church. I'm spiritual, you know, I'm a Christian. And to me, just always networking to build your brand and make yourself more aware to the crowd that you want to market to. So
what's your favorite way to connect with somebody, when it's mentally, or intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, socially, physically? What would be your favorite way to connect with somebody?
As far as getting together with them?
Sure.
I would say kind of like just having a conversation.
Like,
I hate
socially?
Socially, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I hate small talk, so I'm more into
you
trying to figure
more
out
intellectually.
Yeah, like
you
know what I mean. So I for me to be interested in you, I gotta kind of know how you work, like what makes you tick, and those types of things. I don't get bored easily, but if I feel like you're not interesting, then it's hard for me.
So what kind of
I think it's forced.
It's like forced.
You think so? You're saying people force themselves on you? Is that what you?
No, I didn't say
Oh,
that.
my
goodness.
You, I cannot with you. I said I don't like conversations that are forced. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
So
really
it's happened
trying-
before, is what you're telling me.
What's happened before? See, I'm going to ask you specifically what you're asking me.
So somebody tries to, like, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, you get. Like,
Don't get me started on that.
Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I don't like that kind of.
No, but you saying it happens.
Oh, of course it happens. I mean, if
Oh, of course. Oh, my bad.
Of course.
I must be.
I'm saying if you're.
My bad. I didn't know.
I think it happens to any woman. Any
Really?
woman who's
All women get that?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but I feel like as a woman, you kind of let me rephrase that. You set the tone of what you accept and what you reject. So if you don't like a man coming on to you like that, then kind of put him in his place from the beginning, and then it won't go any further. But some women may like that call. I don't.
So if a man is just talking too much and you don't, like, want to really talk to him, what is the most tactful way you would tell him to shut up?
I mean, I would just kind of like let him know that in a nice way. I mean,
What you don't got a game plan for it?
I feel like she'll just jump in there and be like, be quiet, hush. I ain't nobody talking to you, and then keep it moving.
that's not me at all.
That's how we feel.
To tell somebody to shut
How
up?
would you tell somebody to shut up in the most tactful way that's talking too much or oppressing you?
If they're talking too much, I'll just say, "Oh, okay." That's my thing.
Oh,
You got to be dismissive.
yeah, dismissive. Why can't you just be like real player, real
Hush.
smooth?
How's that? What's the player way?
What's the player way?
Yeah,
Tell
So
somebody shut up.
what you do is, you ladies don't have mustaches, so you don't stroke your mustache. Well, I would stroke my mustache.
Thank God.
That
was a great observation.
So you do it like that, and then you say, roses don't talk.
Oh no, he didn't.
I would be offended by that because now I'm not a rose.
I want to know, does that work? That can't work.
How that don't work? Roses can't talk. So what's that mean? I'm saying you're delicate. You're one of the things that a lot of people admire and like to. But you just look better not talking.
Wow.
We're gonna slap a GoPro on your head. and then just watch you just deal with women
See how that
on the strip or
goes?
something. That's gonna next week's show. You know what I'm saying?
Twice goes on a date.
Right.
Twice goes on a date.
Follow him around.
So how would you tell somebody to shut up, or would you?
Me, I'm more polite than that. To just
That wasn't
straightforward-
polite?
Well, because I feel like there's two types of me. That was kind of ambiguous.
A compliment and
Yeah,
and
because they could take that any
That wasn't a
kind of way.
that wasn't a compliment, buddy.
And some women out there that probably would take it as a compliment.
Like, oh, let me be I am a rose.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Exactly.
So that kind of had like a double meaning, but I honestly would just be like, you know what? I'm gonna go get some coffee or some water, or try to excuse myself from the conversation.
Excuse
Yeah,
yourself.
Peace out.
you know, be polite. Like, oh, I see my girl over there.
That's the
so-
political way. That's what
Yeah.
you would do at one of those government meetings or something like that.
So what are you asking me? Like if I'm walking down the street? And
Oh
I
no,
get-
you're
Yeah,
just
if
real
she's
formal. You're very-
if somebody
that's just a
approached
formal
her and
answer.
did all that, I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's just a formal answer. So
Yeah.
I want to know about your feelings a little bit. So
Okay.
what has a bigger effect on the other? The heart on the mind or the mind over the heart?
I would say it depends on what you're going through and where you are. Because sometimes, and I'm just speaking for myself, and I can say sometimes with women, our hearts guide us where we know our mind shouldn't take us. Like,
Oh yeah,
oh yes,
it's happened
So-
several times.
Not several times. 'Cause
Jump
I
right
feel
off
like
the cliff.
You live and you learn.
Oh,
reaching.
You live and you learn, but sometimes the heart can be tugging on you a little bit more than your mind because you're like, I know this isn't right, but I feel like I'm gonna do this because you know my heart's in it. Whereas sometimes you gotta be, you just gotta be smart, and then the mind will take you a little further than your heart. Like I'm gonna turn those emotions off, and I'm gonna do what's logical right now because
I think women are like told to also operate like that. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm nurturing, I'm emotional, so it's okay.
right.
what do you think?
That what I do?
Well, yeah, is it the heart over the mind or the mind over the heart? And how about this? What is more dangerous?
Oh, the heart.
The mind could be dangerous. The mind could be very dangerous
How the mind dangerous?
because it can convince you a lot of things. It can convince you of a lot of things. I don't know. I want to say that most of us move through the heart, through passion,
Right.
through emotions,
I like
and a
that
lot
word.
of times our logic has to check us, which would be our mind, right? So I think that we make a lot of decisions off of emotions,
I agree.
Terrible.
which
But-
is really bad.
You
Terrible.
kind of have to start training yourself though.
Yeah.
Because I was like that. I mean, I wear my heart on my sleeves. You know what I mean? I'm very sensitive. You know, a lot of people don't know that because I keep to myself. But I would act off emotion.
How do you train yourself to act more logically instead of emotionally?
Because you got to start using your brain.
Yeah.
Like, you got to
But
start.
how,
You think before you react.
Yeah.
So before,
I gotta
where-
start doing that.
I gotta start to let's jot that.
Before it would be, someone would say something to me, and and I feel like I could be honest. As you grow through business, and I've been in corporate because I worked at Mandalay Bay, so I was in management. You learn how to develop thick skin. I think as you fall on your, like my grandma would say, your backside a couple times, you get a little tougher. So I think you learn how to accept people for who they are and know, okay, I know he was going to come at me a certain kind of way. So I'm already preparing to shut my mouth and not say what I really want to say to you. Think about it first. Like, okay, I'm not going to let him take me there. That's really what it's about. You can't let people
That
take you
takes
to a
discipline.
place. Oh, yes.
But
You can't let
sometimes
them-
you gotta go there.
Sometimes,
Sometimes
you be taking
just
people
go
there
there a
too,
little bit.
but you go
And
there too quick.
I've learned that too.
Not
some
too quick.
people, some people have to see you go there, so then they'll stop taking
Exactly.
you there.
That's fact.
You know what I mean? Cause
I think I need to do that too.
Oh, yeah.
Can you teach me? Matter of fact, you need to write a book about that. Actually, while we're on that, I heard that you did write a book.
I did. I
Oh.
just became a published author this year.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Thank you.
congrats.
It was a collaborative book project. Tony Ellis Soul Sparker. She is a prominent person here in Las Vegas. She does a lot of things. She's a clarity coach, so she's kind of like a life coach.
Did she help you write it?
She kind of was the main piece of the book. So she's the one that brought all of us together. So it's like a total of 9 women.
Okay.
And we kind of like tell our story. So everybody has a story, and kind of with women, that's how we connect. Like
Nice.
everyone has a story. So if I've been through this, she's probably been through it, and she can relate. So that kind of what it was. And it's like our sorority rules, like our rules to kind of help you get through adversity or anything that you're dealing with. It doesn't necessarily have to be adversity.
You said it's how women connect. So
I think.
what's the best way for women to connect? Do they go get their nails done? Do they go shopping? Do they talk about
Wine,
men
maybe.
problems?
Wine. Well, it depends.
Wine.
Wine is a good one. It depends on what you and your circle of friends enjoy.
What about you?
So the book is called My Sorority Rules.
My Sorority Rules.
Why the word sorority? Like, what meaning did that place on this book?
Great question.
Sorority, so like SOAR and ROAR kind of make up sorority. So you make your own kind of acronym off of the sorority part of the book. So, for instance, the SOAR is show up, act up. Show up, own up, act up, and rise up. You know what I mean? So that right there is kind of how it ties into it. So you have to come together and kind of make your own acronym about it. Don't ask me what my acronym is.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm sitting there.
It's not a secret, but I haven't memorized it. Like
You
this
said,
book
you
project.
said act up. Show up, act up.
Show up, own up, act up, rise up. So it's more of a powerful mantra for women.
Well, what happens when your parents tell you, "Oh, don't be acting up now"? So that's what that sounds like.
Again, it has double meaning. So for you, you're thinking like act up, like do something that obviously is unfavorable. For us, it's like act up, like show up and own up and act up, like act up to your brand or your standard or who you are. So
or be radical.
Like yeah.
Or be radical. Just go ahead and go for it.
Or be a revolutionary. You know, it can mean a lot of things.
Just go for it.
But it was a great experience to kind of come together. You know, we did a writer's retreat, so that's kind of how it came to be. And
so you all,
where can we find the book at?
There's a link, and I'll share it with you guys, and you can drop it however you drop it. But it's on Amazon right now. Like, if you search Sorority Rules, you'll find it.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, yeah.
So you all traveled together and wrote it together, or did you all just send it into
the way she did it, which was obviously, I think, intricate in us all coming together and really being able to put our stories out on paper. So we did a writer's retreat at the D downtown.
Okay.
So it was all like a staycation. Some of the ladies aren't from here. Some of them are from Oklahoma City. So we all came together, and we had our respective rooms, and we would come together to kind of brainstorm and talk about our stories and talk about resilience. Owning up, acting up, rising up, those types of things. And she kind of was very awesome because she walked us through, because she's written books before, so the process and how to convey to your readers and what you should say and what you shouldn't say. So it was like a real live writer's retreat.
Can we get the number one rule? Really cool. What's going on?
What's the tea?
Yeah, give us some of that pop. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I want people to get the book, so I'm not going to give you my rules. You got to get the book to get those rules.
You won't give us one, you won't even give us a little teaser, a little sample.
I'll say it's really about, my chapter in the book is about overcoming adversity and accepting the fact that, you are who you are. A lot of people, I think, can't go about themselves in life and accept who they are because they haven't really found out who they are. One thing that I do say in the book is, before you can go on and tell people who you are, you have to believe it, and two, you have to accept that, because once you believe who you are and you accept that, can nobody tell you. Right. So you can't tell me, oh, you're not this or that, because I don't believe what you say, because I already have this strong belief system within myself. So going through college and coming up, I was raised by a mother, or I came from a 2-parent home, so my mom and dad were there, but my mom was perfect. Like, everything had to be perfect. I was the only girl, all 3 brothers. So for me, I didn't really have an identity. You know what I mean? Because my mom said it should be this way. My mom said you should do this. To be successful, you got to do that. So it was really hard for me to kind of figure out who I was. And that's kind of what the book is about. Because it's like you have to come into your own. Like, I can't want to do this because my mom wants me to do this. Yes. Or I can't, I shouldn't only think I'm beautiful because you told me I was beautiful. Yeah. I should know those things. And, it took me a transition in my life to figure that out, but now I'm like, yeah, I'm strong. You can't tell me nothing.
Can't tell me nothing. Okay.
That sounds like a really dope book.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really dope book.
Yeah. We might have to see what's going on.
You gotta check it out. You gotta get it.
Is there like any experiences that will allow someone to understand who they are more so than others? It's broke.
Repeat the question for me.
Is there are there different experiences, or is there an experience that will allow an individual to understand or know who they are more than others, or is there one experience that someone will go through and they'll know who they are?
Well, I think that's for the person who's going through it to know, because when it happens, or when you go through something and it kind of knocks you down, people use the term rock bottom, thinking like, okay, this is it, and this right here is going to define me as I move forward through my career, or through school or whatever. So I do think that everybody hits that plateau in their life, and then they figure that out, but it's up to them to know.
Your defining moment.
My defining moment, probably was when I was going to UNLV. Because I am a graduate of UNLV.
Oh, alumni, huh? Right at
I'm
home.
alumni.
Yeah, the rebel. Excellent.
Communications major, actually.
Oh, yeah. I got a bunch of communication questions.
But the defining moment for me probably was in my sophomore year. I was dating a guy that was just not good for me. Like, but you know, as women,
Always got to do with a guy, huh?
well, you know what I'm saying.
Sometimes it just
It happens.
pull
Yeah.
things out of you, and you learn more about yourself sometimes.
So, he was my high school sweetheart. We were, you know, dating and whatnot. And I was at an all-time low. So everybody thought I had it together, and I didn't. You know, so for me, that was my defining moment. Like, okay, I really got to get my stuff together and be legit. Because I feel like if you don't feel, how do I say, if it's not authentic.
You know, you said if people aren't authentic, or they can tell when you're not authentic.
I believe that. I believe people can tell, kind of like when you're faking it. So, like, you know, I do believe there's a thin line between, you know, faking it till you make it. You know, because at that point you're really believing it. But at that point I didn't believe it. It's like everybody's telling me that I have so much potential or I have all this going for me, but I didn't believe it. So it wasn't until I started believing it, or that, you know, I hit that bottom where it's like, okay, I'm about to lose my job. You know, this guy's not right for me. You know, my grades are slipping. Like, I have to get it together. You know, because my mom can't go to school for me, and the people that think I have the potential. Oh no. The people that think I have this potential can't go on my job, you know, and get the promotion or do this. So it kind of, for me, that's what the defining moment was. Being at that kind of like low place and that rock bottom to say, okay, you know what, no, I want to do what I know is best for me.
And you turned it on.
It sounds like you started to like really hold yourself more accountable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's important.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, where can people find you and find more information about you? I know you told us about the book, but kind of give a sum up of how everybody can find you.
I'm on Facebook, so for my realtor page, it's Ashley Q Tillman, Las Vegas Realtor. Again, the Q is important.
Okay.
On Instagram, you can hit me up at AQT Realty, because that's my, obviously, acronym for real estate. And then on my personal page, it's Miss AQT.
Okay,
So
nice.
that's how you can find me.
Excellent. Excellent. So we just got a couple more questions for you. Oh, you got any?
Okay.
I think we're ready for final thoughts.
Oh, yeah? You got any final thoughts today? Miss Ashley Q, tell me, but I did want to acknowledge you for a moment.
Okay.
I wanted to let you know that your story is compelling, and what I heard out of your story is that you are a cool customer and cool under pressure. So I would like for you to keep staying cool.
Thank you.
It's the other side of the pillow is what they like to say. But do you have any final thoughts today?
I guess my final thoughts would be just don't let anybody define who you are. Like, don't let anyone define your brand. And no matter, you know, what people say, you got to keep going. Because at the end of the day, the only person that you have to answer to, or should I say people, because I do believe in God, is yourself and God. So if it feels right for you and it feels right in your spirit or your heart, I say keep pushing. You know, your vision is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. So make sure you go hard for that.
Excellent. Excellent. Oh, you got any final thoughts today? What's going on?
Mine would be basically just holding yourself accountable.
Right.
Really just knowing what your passion is, sticking to it, and making sure you know that it's on you.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's on you to do the research. It's on you to do the homework, and just stay focused.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Accountability is a big one.
Yeah. And accountability in yourself is the most important thing. So I agree with both of you guys.
But you got to hold others accountable too.
Exactly.
I do
You
agree.
definitely have to hold other people accountable.
Well, we're gonna work on that too. I'm gonna have to polish that skill.
Right.
For sure. My final thought today, I wrote it down, and it goes like this: when you rush, we can often create problems that didn't exist. So I would like everyone to go ahead and take your time. I want you to not be so hastily. And if someone tries to tell you, oh, you got this deadline, that deadline, don't get so rattled on pressure.
Right.
Because when you take your time, and if you don't take your time, like I said, you can create things that didn't already exist, and now you have to go back and clean up your mess.
I agree.
What I'd like for y'all to do is go ahead and take the time out to go see OverTheTopLv.com. Because if you're looking for the stars behind the bright lights in Las Vegas, you don't got to look no further. They got the poets, the painters, the artists. Matter of fact, we need to get your book on there. We can make that happen too.
Right.
And anybody that's doing anything positive in the community, we want to highlight them. Also, we want to get some music out there. So go ahead and send your music in a WAV format, edited to TwiceTalkMedia@gmail.com so we can start spinning your record right on 91.5. And That'll be lovely. And I just need y'all to do one more thing for me. Remember, if anybody well thought twice, it'll be a better place. Love, baby.
Take a risk and you could take the planet.